Welcome to Hape Motivation. This podcast is a space created for reflection and growth, real conversations about life, purposes, and becoming better without losing yourself along the way. I'm your host, Dray, and together we'll explore what it means to slow down, check in, and grow with intention. So wherever you are, take a breath and welcome to Hape Motivation.
Yo, welcome back to the Hape Motivation Podcast. If this is your first episode, welcome. But if you've been rocking with me since episode 1, welcome back. Either way, I truly appreciate you all for being here. We're going to jump right into today's episode, and it is called You Are Not Behind. And I want you to hear it again. Truly hear it. You are not behind. Even though I know it feels like it sometimes, because there's so much out there in the world that try to make us think that we're behind. You open up social media, someone's buying a house. Someone just launched a business. Someone's engaged. Somebody's traveling the world. Somebody just hit 6 figures. I don't know. And then quietly you start questioning yourself like, am I late? Did I miss my opportunity? Should I be further by now? But I want us to take a pause, truly pause, and hear this. You are not behind. You're on your own timeline. And if you allow the comparisons, it's just going to distort your vision. Because some of you may feel behind in your career, your relationships, financially, emotionally. But what you don't see, what a lot of people don't see is you're building foundations. You're healing. You're learning lessons that will benefit you later, protect you later. You're developing a skill that will matter long term. Or this, you are becoming a version of yourself that can sustain the success you're praying for. You are becoming the version of yourself that can sustain the success you're praying for. And you know what? There's nothing worse than arriving somewhere you are not prepared to maintain. Listen to that again. There's nothing worse than arriving somewhere you are not prepared to maintain. So sometimes like that delay that we think we are feeling, that's just development. And if I'm going to be honest, I've had seasons or times in my life where I felt like I was behind. Because, you watch peers move faster. You're watching people hit these milestones earlier. You're watching others get recognition quicker. But I'm going to tell you one important question I had to ask myself during this time and during the times where I felt like I was behind. I was like, behind according to who? Like, behind according to who? I know society has their timelines, which just messes up everybody mentally. Some people, families may have, certain expectations for them. Friends may have their milestones. But something I learned is growth is not a race. It's personal. And when you rush growth to match somebody else's pace, you skip all of that internal work. All of that internal work along that process you skip. And that internal work is what makes everything sustainable. One of my favorite lines I love to tell my team or tell like a lot of people, but mainly to my team is like, fall in love with the process. You're going to love that process. You have to love that process, but you're also going to learn something along that process. A lot of us are in quiet seasons right now. Like it may feel slow, it may feel unnoticed, it may feel like nothing is happening. But this line I read a couple weeks ago in a book, and it said, roots grow underground before trees rise above it. Roots grow underground before trees rise above it. So just because nobody claps for that preparation phase doesn't mean it's not powerful. Doesn't mean it's not powerful. Because think about this. The gym is quiet before that transformation shows. Those study sessions, back when you're in school, they're lonely before that degree comes. Those therapy sessions, those long, multiple therapy sessions in private before the peace arrives. So you're not behind, you're building, you're evolving. And I also want to be clear about this for sure. I want to make sure this is clear that just because you are not behind, just because I'm saying that, just because this is the title of this episode, that you're not behind, it does not mean you get to become stagnant. This is not permission to sit still. This is not permission to make excuses. This is not permission to say, well, I'm on my timeline, and then you do nothing with your time. You are not behind, but you still have to move. Growth still requires action. Healing still needs that effort, and goals still require that discipline. You can't compare your timeline to someone else's, but you are responsible for what you do with your own. And if you honestly look at your life and realize you have been procrastinating, you've been avoiding, or you've just been comfortable, then this is your moment. This is your moment. Not to panic, but to move. Don't move with anxiety, move with intention. Because there's a difference between being patient and then being passive. Because let me tell you, patience is active. Passive is stagnant. So if you feel behind, don't spiral. Just get moving. Take one step. Apply, start, train, study. Have that conversation. Go to therapy. Wake up earlier. And then turn that TV off. Turn it off. But do something. You're not behind, but you are responsible. And responsibility is empowering. So then let's talk about something else. Sometimes you feel behind because you change direction. Sometimes you feel behind because you change direction, but no, you're not behind. Because maybe you had to restart. Maybe a relationship ended. Maybe a job didn't work out. Maybe you changed careers. Maybe you're healing some childhood trauma that delayed that clarity that you needed. That's not behind. That's actually courage. It takes strength to admit something isn't aligned and then you choose differently. Hear that out. Like it takes strength to admit that something isn't aligned and you choose different. That takes bravery. Because a reset is not failure, it's actually wisdom. And then here's something else. Everybody moves at a different emotional speed also. Some people get married early and grow into themselves later. Some people build money fast, but struggle internally. Some people appear ahead publicly on social media, but are behind privately. You cannot measure your progress by someone else's highlights and someone else's success. And then also be careful about what you see on social media. Sometimes people only post the good on social media, but they don't post the bad. So just be careful not to measure your progress by what somebody posts on their timeline or in a reel. You don't know what they skip. You don't know what they sacrifice. You don't know what they're struggling with in silence. So, stay focused on your own lane. As I said in like a previous episode, drink your water, mind your business, stay focused on you. And then also, instead of asking yourself, like, why am I behind? Ask yourself this: what am I being prepared for? Because sometimes life slows us down to strengthen us. Sometimes we need a little bit more maturity before more responsibility. That's key. That is so true. Sometimes you need more clarity before more opportunity. Sometimes you need that discipline before more freedom. So a delay, it doesn't mean it's denial. Going back, it just means development. So now I'm going to give you a real example from my own life. So I'm a site leader at Amazon and kind of the same as like a senior manager, senior operation manager, senior manager. So the first time I interviewed for this role at Amazon, it was like a promotion when I interviewed back, I guess about 4 or 5 years ago. I thought I was ready because I had the experience, I had the results. I had the confidence walking into that interview. But guess what? I didn't get it. And I remember that day like it was yesterday. I remember feeling hurt. I felt embarrassed. And I started questioning myself like, was I not good enough? Was I not as ready as I thought? Did they see something I didn't? It truly felt like a setback. And then that's when I began to feel like I was behind. And then here's what's happened next. So over that next 6 months, I was placed into like a more challenging role, like a stretch role that really stretched me. It forced me to lead differently. It really exposed the gaps I did have. And I had to grow. I had to mature as a leader. I had to build confidence in rooms I used to feel so small in. And during those 6 months, man, I gained so much more clarity and more skill than I ever realized. And then 6 months later, I interviewed again. And guess what happened? That time, y'all, I nailed it. Not just technically, but mentally, emotionally, confidently. I wasn't the same leader I was the first time. I was stronger. And since stepping into that role, man, I have truly been thriving because I was prepared and I learned so many skills along that process of that 6 month process. I learned so many skills that set me up for success. So I learned that first no wasn't rejection. It was not. It was refinement because I wasn't behind. I was being built. And if no one has told you this lately, you are exactly where you need to be to become who you're meant to be. And I'm going to say that again because I love it so much. You're exactly where you need to be to become who you're meant to be. Not stuck. You're not late. You're not behind. You're developing. Just make sure you keep going because your timeline is yours for a reason. And when it unfolds, woo, it's all going to make sense. Promise you, it is all going to make sense. That's something I truly learned. And I still learn that even in this new journey and past processes and journeys and seasons, like when it truly unfolds, it all makes sense. And then you look back and you're like, man, I'm glad that I was patient and I waited. And if anybody's heard me before or saw some of my videos on social media, like I am a believer of God's time and I feel like it's the best time and the way he has for me, it is for me. So just been a very, very great lesson to learn that you are not behind. Nobody sets those timelines for you. This is Hape Motivation. And remember, there is power in the pause. Thank you all for being here, and I'll see you in the next episode.